Correct. From Assam. Kamruk district. Kamruk is very famous society.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, historic, it's a very historic place. And,
Historic place. So from which, what are the historical events or things like that?
the historical event, it was first mentioned as Prakritishpura in the
As
Prakritishpura,
Rajvishpura.
yeah, in the Mahabharata, Assam times is first mentioned. Then, sir, we have a reference of Kamruk in Ptolemy and in Pericles, the Greek book that was written. Then, sir, Assam is a reference during the passage of Yunsa, who first came and during the dynasty of King Bhaskar Varma in Kamruk, he exclusively wrote about Assam. So there are a lot of historical locations. Kamruk.
And these are the big temple also.
Yes, sir.
That is
Sir, Kamakya temple.
Kamya.
Kamakya temple.
So, this is very large number of people.
Yes, sir.
Any idea how many people would visit, say, per month or so?
Sir, dailies are almost 1,000 visitors. The last time the Kamakya.
1,000.
Yes, sir. 1,000.
Throughout the year.
Yes, sir. Throughout the year, and during the Ambubachi Mela, it increases by a massive.
Ambubachi.
Yes, sir.
Ambubachi Mela.
Yes, sir.
How long will it last?
Sir, it lasts for 5 days.
And what is the occasion?
So the occasion is during that temple, the temple is closed for 5 days in reference to the Mother Shakti goddess, and for 5 days all the Naga sadhus from all over India, they come and congregate there.
Naga sadhus?
Yes, sir. And on the 5th day, the temple opens, and then all the Assamese people open their own temples in homes as well.
I see. Your homes also.
Yes, sir.
5
For
days.
5 days it is closed.
All the temples in Assam
Yes,
are
sir.
closed. And what the Naga sadhus do at the end of the 5 days?
Sir, the temple is open and the Devi worship, darshan is done, and all the first, the Naga sadhus enter.
But Naga sadhus, I thought, were devotees of Shiva.
Yes, sir.
So how do they come to this?
Sir, because Shakti is a consort of Shiva. Kamakya is a form of Shakti goddess who is a consort of Shiva. So the Naga sadhus pay reverence to her as well.
You have done your graduation in engineering.
Yes, sir.
Which kind of engineering?
Sir, information technology.
Information technology.
Yes, sir.
What exactly is information technology?
Sir, it's that branch of engineering which deals with how we collect data and how we interpret and use that data in various applications.
So how is it different from, say, computer?
So computer science deals both with hardware and software. Information technology deals only with software.
So can you say it's the software side of computer science?
Yes, sir. In a way, it is the software side of computer science.
Nothing beyond that.
There is much beyond that because in terms of interpretation, because if I would compare the two departments in my own college, sir, we have subjects like MIS, which teaches us how to interpret the data, which computer science engineering does not have.
You have offered IAS, IGS, IAS, as subjects. Services that you have opted for this in preference to someone else. And Kamruk is on the plain side of the
Yes, sir.
It's on the plain.
Yes, sir.
And do you have much of a migration problem there in Kamruk?
Yes, sir, we do.
What kind of problem is there?
Sir, illegal immigration is something which has been occurring in Assam for a long time now, and it is one of the burning problems. And in my view, it is one of the major reasons why there is a major discontent among the people, because this problem is not being addressed.
But if that is major discontent, what should the government do about it? Yeah,
Sir, the Assam government are taking steps. No doubt the flow of migrants has slowed in a long time. But see, there's a lot of problems out there because, and it is something which it needs a very long thought out process. Because one of the problems that people say is that boundary fencing. But sir, that boundary of Assam Bangladesh is such that it's not possible to boundary everywhere. Somewhere there are hills, somewhere there are water. It's not possible to do that. And these people come to those areas.
but I understand that the major part of the boundary has already been fenced.
Yes, sir, it has been.
And the BSF is there.
Yes, sir.
So then how is it that these people are able to come?
Because
there may be some gaps.
Yes, sir.
But those gaps can be properly looked after that is somebody said when we put there that was.
Yes, sir. Sir, so what needs to be done in that manner? Because a lot of them comes to the Brahmaputra. So it's very hard to man a river like the Brahmaputra.
Well,
Sir, because obviously it's a perennial river, it flows throughout the year. And BSF, when I went to visit there, I understand that BSF does not have that kind of river capacity.
so that means all that is required is to increase the capacity of the BSF to have vigilance on the river.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
Yes, sir.
it's not a very major thing. You think it's a major thing?
Sir, there more work needs to be done in this regard. That is my perception, because not much has been evolved in this problem for the last 50 years now.
Now, so far as the migrants who have already come here,
Yes, sir.
what's being done to check them, send them back?
Sir, it is only recently that India has signed an extradition treaty with Bangladesh. So till before that, there was no provision. The BSF had a provision of pushing back the people, but the BDR, the Bangladesh BDR forces would say that they are not our citizens, and then they would push them back. So till now, we have not been able to develop a cohesive policy regarding pushing back of those who are, and it's very hard to actually identify who is not now.
Actually, it's very difficult to identify this. We may know all the migrants to come and it's all right, there's no way of identifying them, so they are all right. Is that what you mean to say?
No, sir. I mean, most steps have to be taken in, but till now, identification is also one of the major issues that. Because sir, recently we tried to update the NRC. Immediately,
Update the
NRC, the National Register for Census, the NRC population we tried to update, and
National Register of
the census.
Census.
Sir, violence erupted. They said that genuine Indian citizens will be harassed, and that project stopped.
So it is so that genuine Indian citizens are being harassed.
That it's very difficult to say that, because as I said, that problem of identification is very difficult. Sir, in my personal opinion, sending back is not possible.
Is not possible.
No, sir.
So they should be allowed to stay in Assam even though they are Bangladesh citizens.
Sir, Sir, I'm also working on this under my ORF where I'm working now. I'm actually looking at this issue. Sir, we can evolve work permits for them at this point.
Right, okay, thank you, ma'am.
What is the ORF?
Observer Research Foundation.
What aspects of?
Ma'am, I am looking at ethnic conflicts in Northeast.
We're looking at the ethnic conflict.
Yes.
Okay, I'll come to that later. I wanted to ask you, why is it, since you have done acclimatization, whereas all rivers in India are gently feminine, the Brahmaputra is a masculine name. Why is that? The Ganga, the Godavari, the Kaveri are all named after women.
Ma'am, I have no idea.
Maybe you should find.
Sure.
The other question I want to ask you is, we have been reading off and on about water in the Brahmaputra reducing because of upstream dams being built in China, and that eventually the Brahmaputra will dry up. Have you read about this?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What is your view on this?
Ma'am, negotiations should be taken up with, because since compared to China, we are a lower agrarian state. So we must make conclusive efforts to engage China in this debate for these 3 dams that are being constructed in the upper side of the Brahmaputra. Because Brahmaputra is the lifeline for Assam. So if this dries up, then the economy of not only Assam but the whole Northeast will be impacted.
But this is not being done at all.
Yes, ma'am. So we must take steps in this regard.
I want to ask you another question. Why is it that you mentioned your cardio preferences, you mentioned 5 or 6 of the northeastern states, but you left out, for example, you left out Mizoram and you left out Manipur. Why is that?
No, Manipur, Tripura, Kadar, I have given.
You have given Manipur, Tripura. You left out Mizoram. Is it deliberate or just accidental here?
No, Mizoram falls under the Agmod, Kadar.
Oh, so you're taking it as a group card,
Yes,
because you mentioned some of the states. So you
No,
put
I
it as a
forgot.
round.
Yeah. I'll move that.
Yes, okay. My next question is, why is it that when you have in Assam such vast natural resources and diversity, that the economic profile of Assam isn't as good as it should be?
Ma'am, in my view, I would say that the culture is a prime reason for that, I believe. The entrepreneur skills of the Assamese people compared to the rest of India are much less, as I have noticed around myself. And obviously we have not been able to develop our own natural resources, we have not been able to use our water resources or our land resources, or we have a very fertile land. But then the people of Assam prefer to do cropping only once a year. So they don't even go for cropping twice. So it's more to do with the culture of Assam.
Is there, would you also say that the failure of our East policy in not helping greater trade and commercial contacts between our northeastern states and Southeast Asia is responsible, and if our East policy integrated looking east by jumping over the northeast, but looking east including the northeast, do you think that would change the economic profile
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
northeast?
Definitely, if Northeast engages Northeast in a more comprehensive manner, then definitely the economic profile of Northeast would enlarge in a better way. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think the land connectivity problem through the chicken neck is that an issue anymore? Now
No.
now it's no longer an issue?
No, ma'am. Now it's no longer an issue.
Another question: when you have, which is the largest riverine island in the world?
Ma'am,
Yes. Why is it not a bigger tourist attraction than it should be?
Ma'am, because historically till the 90s it was an Alpha's hotbed. So because it was near to Jorat and these were the places where Alpha's hotbed was there. Sanjay Ghosh was shot at there in the Majuli Islands. So historically it has been a problematic region. Now when they are trying to develop it again, another major problem is in the form of erosion. Every year a large chunk of the river island is getting eroded. So these are the problems, certain technical difficulties I would say that has led to Majuli not being such a site as it should.
Are you personally concerned, or were you personally concerned when we read recently that some 8 or 9 one-horned rhinos were killed? Did you feel pain? Were you bothered?
Yes, ma'am. Because that is called the pride of Assam. So obviously it does feel bad when poaching takes place in such a large manner.
So what do you do as a young person?
Ma'am, I have already interested and involved in various environmental activities in Assam. So the best way is to carry out campaigns. But in the last 3 years, ma'am, I must add that the Assam Government Forest Department has taken a lot of good measures that have been able to combat this, especially during the floods before a large number of rhinos were massacred. But these things have come down in the last 3 years.
Discussing poaching, we say that killing of animals, especially elephants, for the ivory is illegal. Yet we have a legal trade in ivory with other countries. So how do you come for this diversity?
Ma'am, in my view, I think this month the CITES summit will also be held in Thailand, and the ivory trade is something that we'll be looking at. And I think domestic stockpile is an issue here. So once the issue of domestic stockpile...
No, but we can always say that domestic stockpile is there and we can poach and kill more elephants and say that in any case it was there.
Yes, ma'am. I'm saying that what I meant was that, ma'am, this domestic stockpile that we have, that should be categorized and steps should be taken that no further augmentation to that is done so that...
So what steps can you take? What can you suggest that we take?
Ma'am, eventually we have to stop trading ivory. We have to take us... Yes,
we have to take
take
a
us...
stand.
Yes.
Okay, good. You've written a lot of hobbies, reading, blogging, training and placement cell. What was this training and placement cell?
Ma'am, when our college started out, we did not have a training and placement cell.
So you placed people or you interfaced with...
I interfaced and we created a group of students and we developed a training and placement module in our college.
So which were the different organizations in which you were able to place your students?
Ma'am, we placed in Satyam, Infosys, AT&T, American Television and Telenetworks, and then when we were able to call PSUs, we came. The first year when I was there, then 6 companies came, but it was a recent.
Okay, good. And reading. Now what do you read? Fiction, non-fiction?
Ma'am, I read non-fiction.
Non-fiction. So what was the latest book that you read?
Ma'am, I read India's Foreign Policy by Mushkun Dubey.
Okay. All right. Now, tell me something, since you're talking about foreign policy. Our president was visiting Bangladesh, and at a time when Bangladesh is in turmoil. Why do you think he needed to go to Bangladesh at this time?
I think it was a prior engagement. I think the government of India decided to go ahead with the visit in order to show confidence in the Bangladeshi government and its Sheikh Hasina government that it can provide security. Because I think if we would have rejected, it would have been a block on the Sheikh Hasina government, which we didn't want. That would be my question.
So do you think there is some movement towards fundamentalism in that state, in that country?
Ma'am, in my view, no. I think the Shahbag rebellion has shown that the youth of Bangladesh today want a different kind of system than what Jamiyat Islami chooses to impose in their country.
Okay, and what are your views on capital punishment? Because we have a lot of people protesting after Guru's hanging. Some academicians, some politicians. So what are your views on that, on capital punishment?
Ma'am, I think capital punishment is something that perhaps affects the human dignity. So in my view, it will be something that eventually has to. But as of now, the Supreme Court chooses to say that the rarest of the rare crimes it must be given. But as we evolve as a democratic society, I think in the end it is something that must come to an end.
Supreme Court says rarest of rare, but yet they say you commit murder and rape under the influence of alcohol. A father murdering his own child and raping his own child under the influence of alcohol is not considered rarest of rare. So where do we put a stop to this?
That's why I think in my view, it's because there's a quotation to that the certainty of the punishment is more important than the severity of the punishment. So if we can make certain that these people will be brought to court, then I think we will see a traction.
Thank you.
You have history as your subject. So can you pinpoint 3 factors from the Indian history which are affecting present-day governance in our country?
So if I had to pick my 3 events on history, the first would be the losing of the western frontier by the Mughals to the ruler of Iraq, because that permanently eroded out, because the Hindu Kush mountains were always our protect area from where we could dissipate. So the loss of Afghanistan, I think, had a lot to do with the kind of country that we are. The second would be the Mughal administration. The vestiges of which we see in the lower bureaucracy even today, like Amil, Kanungo, these are all vestiges of the Mughal administration that have come. So the establishment of the Mughal administration in my view. And the third would be the coming of the British that brought about the change in the country's map as we see it today.
So how is this losing the Hindu Kush, as you say, affecting the present-day government?
It would be very difficult to answer
But my question was this, as to what are the three factors from Indian history which are affecting the present day governance? I want a clear-cut link between them.
Sir, I think if we have Western frontier further, that is something that we see even today. We have a large, today that frontier has moved from Afghanistan to Pakistan. But
So that might be a geopolitical disadvantage, but how does that affect our present day governance?
sir, we have to, because our Western frontier is vulnerable, we have to permanently stand a large army there and large number of resources. So resources in other areas are administration.
What do you mean by governance?
So the system of administration.
What do you mean by good governance?
I'm sorry, I cannot.
Okay, don't you think that the achievement of independence and switch over from a regulatory state to a welfare state was one of the crucial factors of the Indian history? We switched over from regulatory to welfare, from governance to good governance, from administration to developmental administration. All right. How crucial is caste as a factor affecting the present day governance?
Sir, it would be difficult for me to say this because in Assam, caste does not play a major role.
But you are a student of history.
So, sir, in history, the present day context of caste is not studied. So, this is a question which I will not be able to answer.
All right. Talking about Assam, State of Assam had passed an enactment for identifying and deporting illegal migrants, but later that enactment was quashed as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court of India. Which act was that?
Sir, I am details.
Will you please elaborate that?
Illegal migrant selection.
And why was it held to be unconstitutional?
Sir, because the cutoff date was decided as 1971. So, with the Supreme Court disagreed, it was a case filed by Mr. Savananda Sonal, and the Supreme Court quashed it saying that it is unconstitutional because for the rest of the country we have one parameter and for Assam we have entirely different parameters.
So what is the other enactment which governs the rest of India? Which enactment is that?